Look, it's Jan 1. Everybody's thinking dry January. I'm going to make a pitch for dry 2024. This is based on my decision to cut alcohol in 2021 and it being the primary thing that drove me from basically being a broke grad school student to making $1 million betting sports. In 2021, I stopped drinking. And between 2021, this was late in 2021, between 2021 and now, I went from broke. I was in grad school, broke, solid relationship, whatever. It wasn't dire straits, but to where I am now, which is, I'm making a lot of money with sports betting, bought a house, married, um, building out my content and whatnot. And there's just 0% chance I would have gotten from there to here if I hadn't stopped drinking. And the reason I'm doing this today, the reason I'm doing this on Jan 1 is I think a lot of people, in their New Year's resolution, they might be doing a dry January. They might be, considering their relationship with alcohol. And, I do want to put this through like a sports betting lens because that's ultimately like what I do talk about. But this is really just for anybody who's looking to make a big change in their life. And I believe cutting out alcohol is the single easiest way to fast track success. Here's why. Number one, alcohol is just expensive, right? So like if you're, not, if you don't have a ton of money in your bank and you go out and you just buy drinks, right? Like if you go to a restaurant and you buy food, the food's going to cost like $20 and the drinks will cost, if you have like two drinks, the drinks will cost more than the food. That's crazy, right? You're literally doubling the price of your meal by buying drinks instead of just getting water, right? So, and if you have a ton of money, it's not going to make a big dent. But if you don't, and you're trying to save up and trying to get yourself ahead, getting that first like chunk of money, that emergency savings fund, is so important. And these little things like that are going to make all the difference to get the ball rolling, right? So if someone's watching this and they're retired and they're 65, it doesn't apply to them. What I'm talking to is like someone who's trying to really like bootstrap themselves from zero to something. And that initial, extra $20 that you spend at dinner on drinks a couple times, a week or a couple times a month, that's going to make a big, big difference. Two, you spend more money when you're drinking, right? So you're going to, go drunk shopping on Amazon, or you're going to, buy extra food or go get snacks or whatever it is and stuff you don't need, unhealthy calories, whatever it is. Your decision making is worse and your restraint is worse when you're drinking. So of course you're gonna, make worse decisions financially. And there's some kind of like effect there too, beyond the price of actually buying the alcohol. There's all the other shit you waste your money on when you start drinking. But that's all small potatoes compared to three, which is productivity. So if you're drinking, and you wake up and you're hungover and your day is kind of shot, right? Like you might go through the motions, but you're not going to get up and like do anything really spectacular. If you're trying to really like level up, and I think this is important in sports betting because it's a very competitive, very, very hard game. Only a couple percent of people are going to win. And of those percent, that small percent, only a couple of that small percent is going to win at, I would say, like a high enough rate to support a career over time. So we're talking about, how many people even win, how many people make six figures, how many people make seven figures. It just gets incrementally smaller and smaller and smaller. So to be able to put in enough work to find that high level of success in a really competitive game, you have to be working 7 days a week. It's like it just, of course you can occasionally take a day off here, take a day off there, take a longer break, but what you need is you need your mental faculties around like as much as possible. Because if someone's hungover on Saturday and then I'm like, tweaking the model or doing some research or trying to find a new edge, and that happens each Saturday every week, it's just gonna compound, and I'm gonna get that much further ahead. So when I started sports betting, that was probably, well, I started with DFS. That was a long, long time ago. Sports betting was probably 2019. I didn't really find like any sustained success until basically when I stopped drinking, because what would happen is you get bored. You get bored when you stop drinking, right? Because you replace like going out with friends with what? Nothing? With you all of a sudden like wake up on Sunday morning at 7 a.m. and you do what? And for me, that was like, luckily, sports betting, because I was already a winning, and this is a big, big caveat, because if somehow you stumble across this video without knowing who I am, I'm a professional sports bettor and I was a professional gambler, right? For a long period of time. So I would not suggest replacing alcohol with sports betting for most people. But just think of sports betting as job when I'm talking now. So I would put a lot of the extra time I had into sports betting, and you're bored. So you're like firing on all cylinders, trying to figure out something to do. And for me, that was just like getting deeper and deeper into the process. So it allowed me to fast track my way to like being a successful sports bettor, because I had so many more hours, and all of those hours were just like laser focused in on sports betting because I was so fucking bored, right? So that's another kind of side bonus, is like if you cut alcohol you get more time, but also you're like more bored and you need to figure out something to do. And if you can replace that with a really healthy habit, it can boost, because you're going to become obsessed, because you're like, your brain needs something to do. You'll become obsessed with it, or you'll put a lot more extra time into it for at least that first like 6 months to a year, right? So you can find something healthy, productive to funnel that energy into. It can be really, really helpful. So basically, I wanted to make this video because there are a lot of people that, I looked up to in gambling that had cut alcohol and became, big winning gamblers. That was Phil Ivey. Well, he's a winner before, right? But he cut alcohol. Billy Walters famously cut alcohol, and that kind of took him from being an undisciplined, sporadic winner to, arguably the biggest winning sports bettor of all time. And then Amarillo Slim, he never drank. I don't think he ever drank, but I think he was the one who said like he had a huge edge because he would be not drinking while everyone else was drinking. And in a world where we're trying to play a game that is essentially determined by our mental faculties, like you have to be, they call it sharp. Like, are you a sharp? You want your mind to be as sharp as possible, right? It's such a shortcut to get there. At least for me when I stopped drinking. So, I don't want to get like too much into it. It wasn't, my life wasn't terrible. When I was drinking, it was still like pretty good, but this was what took me from pretty good to what I feel like now is I'm finally like finding some sustained success and some comfort and some just like stability. It's been really great. So if anybody is watching this, they're thinking, Jan 1, what should I do? Or they're considering like dry January, should I give it a try? I would highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. And I would say you might not see anything for the first month, 2 months. That's okay. You'll be bored. You'll be like, this isn't working. Just see what happens. Allow yourself to be bored. Good things will come and automatically kind of fill those spaces. And then you'll really be off to the races. What will probably happen is you won't think it's working, but then you'll look back 6 months ago and be like, wow, it actually worked wonders. Like me looking back now to where I was in 2021, it's like, I couldn't even imagine, really. Like I couldn't even imagine like being here doing this in 2021. Now to me, it's like, I really enjoy this. I'm doing stuff that is creative. I'm, successful in betting, which, has always been my number one goal. I found success now, even though, maybe I was a better poker player back in the day. I didn't have like that consistency of schedule. And even if I was like, I felt like pretty talented, it didn't really result to sustained success, where it's like now in sports betting, having that consistency has fast tracked and made it easier to build a consistent process, find some stability, and ultimately like do this full time. So anyway, that's my pitch for giving cutting alcohol a try in 2024. I hope everybody had a good New Year's, and let's make 2024 a banger.